Good morning and welcome to the Raben Report. I'm your host, Elliot Raben, so get ready to get triggered. Good morning and welcome to Season 5 of The Raben Report. I'm your host, Elliot Raben, and with me for the first time this season is my expert panel, Marshall, Adam, and Daniel. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Fantastic.
Doing well.
Doing good.
Living the
Never
dream.
been better.
She's got a really dirty look from a girl who just walked by.
She's like, ugh.
She knows who I am. She knows I'm the bad guy of the show.
Well,
He's
I
the
mean,
villain.
that's what we're known for.
She's not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who can blame her, really?
Yeah. Sorry about that, Marshall,
I
but
know.
it's okay. Awesome. So it's Tuesday, October 2nd, and this is our new official time slot for the show, at least. And so we hope that it works just as well with everyone tuning in. So back in June, we had our live election summer special episode, which I think went really well. What about you guys?
Well, I was watching it from work, and it was the election day. I was working on an election campaign, and I was just, on the edge of my seat the whole time. Absolutely riveting.
Yeah, it was just really hot in the studio, like exponentially hot.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I had a lot of fun. It was a little bit disappointing for me, being the NDP guy of the show. I was on the Globe and Mail watching the sort of conservative bar creep closer towards a majority as more ridings were called, and I was like, oh boy, this is it, it's happening. And then it happened, and then I was with our good friend Christina in the studio, and then she texted me and she was like, I had to pee and now suddenly I don't. And I just found that really funny as a good metaphor for the shock after Doug Ford won the election. If you're watching, Christina, sorry to exposed. But yeah, it was good. It was a good episode though. I had fun.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking just to see you would think at least like the Liberals would have some ground, like would able to hold some seats in the GTA and stuff, but
Nope.
But Adam, you had a good term
big blue wave that just
for the Liberal Party.
It's not my term. It's Doug Ford's term. During the city council slashing debate, which we'll get to later, Doug Ford called John Fraser and the Liberal Party the minivan party because they were reduced down to 7 seats. And I found that hilarious, as mean as it was.
God.
But yeah, the minivan party.
You need 8 seats for
Yeah,
official
and
race.
it was funny because
Was
they
it
had
7?
8.
No,
No,
they
it's
wanted
eight.
to bring
It's
it down
eight.
because they only have 7.
They had 8 seats at one point, and we were watching it. I'm like, we were so close to Liberals not having official status. And then all of a sudden, one up in Northern Ontario switched to NDP, I think.
Yeah,
or-
it was Thunder Bay.
Nipissing. No, that
Nipissing?
was already PC.
Okay.
It was Thunder Bay, you're right.
Yeah.
It was the
Thunder Bay, Atto-Katoyan, or...
southwest, of
Yeah,
Thunder Bay,
and they lost by something like 86 votes
Yeah.
or something. There were a lot of close races in
There
that
were.
election.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest one for me was Brampton Centre. Jagmeet Singh's brother, Gurtaran Singh, won by 63 votes
Yeah.
against the PC candidate.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew some people working on that campaign. I had no idea it was that close.
63 votes,
Wow.
yeah.
So I guess the NDP was singing his praise. So the episode took a lot of time to produce, but it was a lot of fun, and you can expect many more specials coming your way throughout the series. So before we get to our 5-minute recap of the week, I know our fans are dying to hear about your lives, guys. How have the past 4 months been? What have you been up to? And for the people that are tuning in for the very first time, why don't you introduce yourselves? So, Marshall, let's start with you.
So, my name's Marshall Derbyshire. I'm studying politics and governance at Ryerson, obviously. Politics and governance is basically the same thing as political science, but they don't call it that because they want to be different. And I'm the conservative panelist of the show. I would classify myself as a conservative in the red Tory tradition, but not in the way it's often used today in the original sense of the word. George Grant, and John Diefenbaker, and very influenced by John A. Macdonald, the first Prime Minister of Canada. And so I've been working at Toronto City Hall for the Deputy Mayor. I work in his office doing community management, and I also volunteer on his election campaign. And that's a lot of fun. We got the election coming up on October 22nd. And in my free time, I like to read books and play video games, drink beer, and
I like beer.
I like beer, and yeah.
Awesome. Adam, let's move on to you.
My name's Adam Asmar. I am a fourth-year history student at Ryerson. I transferred over from politics and governance a little while ago, and that's how I know these guys. Well, I knew them by association, but now I know them more in depth now. What did I do these last 4 months? Pretty much nothing. I worked in the law firm that my dad works for a little bit because I panicked and I couldn't find a job, and also it was a great opportunity. And now I'm back at school. I'm really trying to ramp up student involvement. I joined a lot of different student groups and course unions just to sort of have a good final year of student engagement at Ryerson. I had the opportunity actually to go to Chicago with Ryerson over Reading Week this October to sort of work with Chicago communities to help youth voter engagement and sort of figure out the root causes of apathy in the millennial generation when it comes down to voting. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. Other than that, in my free time, I cook.
Got a whole Instagram dedicated to cooking.
I do. Follow up Adam and his yellow pan. I am an aspiring stand-up comedian. I haven't actually performed stand-up comedy yet, but I have a little joke book that my friend got me, and I have a lot of jokes to say. So,
And
that's pretty
what's
much
your
it.
role on the show?
Oh, I'm the NDP panelist for the show. I'm the evil communist that spreads leftist propaganda and hopes the proletariat will grow one day.
And who's your
My revered personal hero is Karl Marx.
There we go. Now we have it on video
Yeah.
because he said that on the first episode, but we didn't actually have
Yeah,
that saved.
my friends
so
don't let me live it down, and that was 2 years ago. So they always like, oh
So-
yeah, Karl Marx, the hero.
you never know. And make sure to tune in for the Adam Asmar comedy special coming to you at some point during the Raben Report.
Maybe we'll see.
And lastly,
So
Daniel,
airplane food.
Sorry, I have business to take care of.
you part of the mafia.
Yeah,
Big-
exactly.
big man, big
Unfortunately,
man.
got some institutional power finally. But hi everyone, my name's Hugo. Formerly the artist formerly known as Daniel. I've been switching it up back and forth, but it's been Hugo Daniel Hernandez now. I am a fourth-year politics and governance student, just like Marshall. Currently, I am the president of POGSA, which is the Prudence, the Politics and Governance Student Association, and we just got a bunch of stuff to plan for the year. That's kind of taking its toll right now on me for this year. For the summer, what I was up to is I was actually moving. I did a complete switch, and before I was working retail with a very, I would say, pussy job, I guess, but
Put
by
it
just
in
like handing out
layman's
clothes
terms.
and stuff. But like now that I just did a complete switch to manual labor, and that was very interesting. A lot of bad days, a lot of days working like 7:30 with some shitty weather. But honestly, it was pretty interesting, and I actually enjoyed it. So it was like it was a nice big change for me, and I'm just still doing that for now. So that's good. And I'm just living life, just trying to do my
Trying to
thing.
survive.
Yeah, and then just trying to get some more gains, unfortunately. But I believe I talked to Adam before. I said we were supposed to go to the gym once.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
gotta do
I
that.
gained 30 pounds over the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
I just
Wow.
stayed at a constant weight, and no matter
But
like,
you
if I
wanted to
work
do
out
that.
more, it's
I
like,
wanted to gain
Yeah,
weight. Yeah,
that's good.
I've been trying to gain weight for a long time. Yeah.
That's good for you.
that's good.
That's awesome. It's great to hear that your
And
summers have
for
been
you?
blessed.
Oh yeah.
And my name is Elliot Raben. I am the host, producer, writer,
Supreme leader.
Hi, Chancellor.
You may bow down to me. Host, producer, director, writer of the show. I generally stay neutral during the show, but sometimes my views will pop out. One thing I'm definitely not neutral about is my love for Celine Dion. So if you dislike Celine Dion, then I will come after you. But otherwise, the show is for open dialogue, and that's why I created it, because we need to have these discussions with people of different views. And I'm really happy that we're in our 5th season now. fifth semester of doing this, fifth season. I still can't believe it, but we got a lot in store for you guys, and we thank everybody for watching and supporting us throughout. So, as per Spirit Live rules and regulations, all opinions expressed on the show are not those of Ryerson or Ryerson faculty and are only those of the individual commentators. Viewer discretion is advised. So this season, we're going to be changing things up a tad. Based on viewer feedback, we're going to, after this episode, extend our news recap to last the entire episode. We're going to try it out and see what you guys think. If you like it, we'll keep going. If not, we'll stick to our original concept of having one main topic. For this episode, though, we're going to go to the original way. And let's start with our recap of the week. The first thing, which we kind of mentioned at the beginning, Doug Ford, but let's talk about him shredding city council like you shred your tax returns that you don't want the government to see. Anyway,
I don't know what kind of taxes you do, Elliot.
That is for me to know and for you to find out. But let's talk about shredding city council.
For me, I on election night, I tweeted at 2 a.m. I'm like, I can't believe Ontario just voted Thanos for premier, and that sort of
Very prescient. It was very prescient.
and that sort of came into reality with the cutting of city council. I don't know. I'm a big believer in voter representation. I'm a big believer in sort of people having their voice and progressive voices and all that. And I'm very much against amalgamation, the city of Toronto's amalgamation. And
for those who don't know, amalgamation,
Toronto used to be 4 bigger cities.
Six.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the Six.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. People thought it was the 416.
People thought it was
It
416,
was
but
6,
it was-
and then it was 4, like up until I think 74.
And then it became
It was
No, because
6.
Francis Nunziata was still mayor of York, which was the smallest one.
Right,
in
but then
97.
York got absorbed into Metro Toronto at one point, I believe.
That was in 97.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 6 until 97.
Okay.
There's
so
a big
it was-
diagram of it right beside my office.
So York, Etobicoke, Scarborough, Metro Toronto,
East York.
East York.
East York, North York.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm taking a local politics class, and apparently I'm not paying attention. So we used to be 6, and then we amalgamated into 1, and all these 6 different municipalities, they each had their own council and their own mayor, and then they sort of grouped together, and the council went from 26 in Metro Toronto to 44. And that's just ridiculous for me. There's no centralization. You can't centralize, people like that, and it created so many problems across the board. And I don't know, it was just bad for me. It was just bad. The timing was bad. It was terrible. Councillors were in the middle of their campaigns, and yeah, I think it was a bad move and shouldn't have been done.
So for me, it's tough. I am a bit conflicted on it. I would largely agree with Adam, actually. I really don't like the way that conservatives kind of arbitrarily worship small government. I don't think small government directly correlates with good government, and I want good governance, good government. That's what I care about, whether it have to be big or small. And so to cut city council without doing a study of it, without looking at, it's going to save $25 million, I think, which is nice, but it's
Yeah.
About $2.41 a house.
in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. And I am very much against amalgamation, just like Adam. I think Toronto was much better off as 6 different cities. I think where I do agree with the whole slashing city council is that I think city councilors are really sitting in kind of an ivory tower. They are incredibly privileged in their job position, and I think that a lot of them are net negatives for the city. That's more an ideological thing, though. And just to be, this is me being a bit spiteful, but I will be glad to see some of them lose their jobs come this election, because I think a lot of them have been disasters, truly. What I do agree with very strongly is the use of Section 33 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms was the notwithstanding clause. Because while if I had to say whether I agree or disagree, I do disagree with the move to cut city council. But despite my disagreements with it, it was not unconstitutional. And that instance of it being declared unconstitutional was the judge ruling from the bench, from an ideological perspective. And frankly, it was ridiculous. I don't know what that judge is doing. If you look in his history, he's a bit of a shady judge, depending on where you're coming from. So I really liked that Ford used the notwithstanding clause. I can't believe the amount of hysteria that came out of that, like he was some sort of despot, some sort of dictator. That was silly. But overall, I wish he didn't cut city council.
Yeah, I would say, I'm for the amalgamation just because, looking at Vaughan, York Region, sorry, every city had their own transit system. So you had Vaughan Transit, Richmond Hill Transit, Markham Transit. It was a disaster. It was just changing when I was born, right?
Yeah, but they all amalgamated it into Viva, right?
Well, Viva and YRT. Viva is the express service.
Yeah.
And then YRT, but they're both owned by YRT. They're both York Region Transit. Mm-hmm. But it made things a lot simpler, and that's what that's why I'm I like that Toronto, encompasses all these, because if you had different transit systems and this and that, it would be a whole thing. City council, and there's me going off on my views. I'm kind of glad that it was cut, because any money saved, in my view, is good. Obviously, it depends on what it's saved, how it's saved, but I just think the timing was awful. I just think right in the middle of election, especially the city clerk had to get her own lawyer, because she's I don't know if it was a she or he, whatever, but she was I'm getting a lawyer, I don't know what the hell's going on, my job's being a nightmare, and I'm I get it, you have to organize the election and you have no time to do it. So that's my view. We have to move on to the next topic, which is Brett Kavanaugh and Dr. Blasey Ford. So it's a very, very tough topic to talk about. Obviously, we don't want to say the wrong thing. Hopefully, nobody misinterprets what we say. But it all comes down to he said, she said, right? And again, I'm not saying who's right. I'm just saying it comes down to personal accounts and who people are believing. Not necessarily us, but who people within the Senate Judiciary Committee believe. What do you guys think of the situation?
So I do think that it was very conveniently timed by the Democrats. I do think that it was done that way on purpose as a attack on his confirmation. That said, I don't think that means he didn't do it. I don't think that means he's innocent. I also don't think he's necessarily guilty. I don't know at this point. We don't know. And I think I really do hate what happens where these conveniently timed things automatically indict somebody in the court of public opinion. I also don't like the way that a lot of the people who are siding with Kavanaugh are treating it as if he can do no wrong, as if there's no way he did it. He went to Yale. He couldn't have done it. I really hate that. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to really take a very measured approach to these kinds of things and realize that at the end of the day, we are limited by the justice system, and that we are in no place to make a judgment call, a definitive judgment call on what happened. That is the job of the courts and of the Senate committee in this instance to decipher what went down that night. And we are seeing new things coming out all the time. 2 individuals just came out and said that it was them who assaulted Dr. Ford and not Brett Kavanaugh. Mm-hmm. And so we'll see where that goes. And so, yeah, I think the main takeaway is that we do need to take a very measured approach to it and can't be jumping to conclusions, can't be hasty in the way we think about this. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to agree partially with Marshall on that. I think that for me, I believe Dr. Ford. I'm going to come right out and say it. I believe Dr. Ford. Her testimony was very powerful, very courageous, very sort of breaking with the norm. Very difficult to do, I'm imagining, to rehash all those events after trying to bury them for 30-something odd years. I do want to say, however, for the Democrats, I don't really believe that the Democrats care this much about sexual assault. because if it was a judge that they were trying to confirm, I think they would have handled it better. I think they would have agreed to the FBI investigation. I think it would have happened. But I think there is some level of piggybacking onto, and it's wrong piggybacking. Like, as much as I disagree with Brett Kavanaugh's stance, I don't think that this is the right way to go about it. I also think that the Republicans, sort of being like Democratic meddling, obstruction. Mitch McConnell is the number one obstructionist in the Senate chamber. You can't tell me jack about obstructionism like Mitch McConnell, you fucking turtle looking. Anyway, but like, Lindsey Graham yelling, he's such a nice man. Great. It seems like a nice guy now. Maybe did some messed up stuff at the time. And I think that, the fact that she's gotten death threats, the fact that she was yelled at by this bench of terrible people, is a real testament to why a lot of survivors don't come out and share their stories because of this hostility. So on one hand, you have hostility from the Democrats being like, you see, he's terrible. Stop the hearing. And then on the other hand, you'd be like, you see, the Democrats doing up to their shenanigans again. Continue with the hearing. She's being politicized. Her sexual assault is being politicized. How can we go about that and pretend everything's okay, even though we don't like Brett Kavanaugh? She was sexually assaulted. It's being politicized. That's wrong. So I think that there's a double standard on both sides for the politicization, if that's a word, of her sexual assault. And I believe her, and she is so courageous. And I want to either leave a world for my children or leave this world where it doesn't happen. That, there needs to be a deconstruction from men on consent and all that stuff.
I don't know. It's pretty interesting. It's like there's so much convenience that happens from both sides. Like it's convenient to it's very hard for me to try to come up with like one truth to this like concept, because like on one aspect, like you want to believe Dr. Ford, obviously.
I do.
But no, like yeah.
Oh, like you as in,
I was just saying in general, like you want to believe her, and then you listen to what she has to say, and like it moves you, but. Like I look at more research that would try to like change the subject, and I keep seeing research, and I want to find it more of it after. But how psychologists think that because of the trauma that a survivor goes through,
they forget certain.
There's
things.
A certain word for it though, cognitive something, I forget.
Dissociative something.
Maybe, I guess, yeah. But it's like you can't remember every single thing. And so your mind is just playing tricks on you.
It's a coping mechanism, so you don't have to relive the
exactly.
situation. Yeah.
So it's like, obviously, like I wouldn't want to. I don't know. It's very weird to like touch upon this, but
yeah,
I don't know. I can't. It's very hard to look at to Kavanaugh and think that he's being 100% honest.
Yeah.
So it's like. I don't know, and then like the whole calendar thing, and like
that's just
and I also
bullshit.
saw some other.
He brought out his calendars, be like, "See, look, I wasn't even at that."
I was
party.
I was on a trip with my girlfriend at the time.
That's pretty convenient.
Yeah, right. So then and then I also saw it's like, I don't know, all this like I just see so much like Adam said, but I just see they're just trying to like just delegitimize him. Like they make Kavanaugh sound like the most evil thing ever.
Yeah.
When with this actually, it's pretty funny because this just happened 25 years ago with Anita Hill during the same thing, another Supreme Court nomination, and we just see the same thing. They're just trying to delegitimize what the survivor's trying to say, and it's just shitty that we're doing that to the survivor right now.
I think
the reason why I'm very hesitant to believe Kavanaugh, but I also think it's important that we have to take into consideration that. There might have been something else going on that we don't want to ruin this guy's life if we're wrong here, because we do know guys like this. We do know guys who think they can get away with anything. We do know guys who...
There are guys that go to this school.
Yeah.
I know.
If you've ever been to a frat house, you know guys like that.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to generalize, but I'm sorry, frat boy friends, your friends are rapists.
Garbage.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Definitely, we'll definitely have to see what what happens, right? Until then, we can't really make any.
I just wish the FBI investigation was longer. You can't really conduct a fair investigation in a week.
Yeah.
What do you
I
mean?
agree.
They're getting
So
they already
Jeff Flake,
started?
Jeff
No.
Flake, the Republican senator on the Judiciary Committee, agreed to moving on with Kavanaugh's hearing if there was a week-long limited FBI investigation.
Mhm.
And I don't think you can conduct a fair investigation in that time.
Yeah.
But
But they already approved.
We
it,
gotta
so
move
what
on
do they
though,
gotta
guys.
do?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, because we're running out of time. But the last thing is I want to mention Adam. What a surprise! You're running again in an election.
I'm borderline. I'm borderline approaching masochism at this point with the amount of elections I'm running in. But one of the arts directors on the RSU quit. I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to sort of bring my voice and my opinions back onto the RSU. I am running in an election. I'm running for the Faculty of Arts Director, the position I had 2 years ago before I ran last year for Vice President Operations and lost by a very wide margin. Voting starts tomorrow and goes until Friday at 4 o'clock. You can vote at my.ryerson.ca if you're in the arts faculty, and there'll be a few polling stations around campus. I do hope you do consider voting for me. I'm a big believer in the in more food security on campus, cheaper transit for students on campus, and a sort of getting your money's worth from the RSU. I think is my blanket sort of term. Every student pays about $120 something a year. You should be seeing that value. So I would like to get back onto the RSU and see what I can do about that.
Well, we wish you luck, and definitely, I think I can say that the Raben Report endorses you for sure.
Appreciate that, fellas.
And yeah, we definitely support Adam. You know, he speaks his mind, and that's something you need. You know, he's not a career politician, but he knows his politics.
I'm getting there.
But he knows his politics.
I'm getting there.
But
Sorry, I realized I wasn't reading out the comments from our stream here.
that's okay.
But just to go through them really quick, Gemma, in regards to our discussion on Kavanaugh, said definitely timed. Jake One says, and shout out to Jake One, who has been a guest on this show. Love you, buddy. He says Kavanaugh has just as many inconsistencies in his story as Ford. If not, he has less. And he said Anita Hill's FBI investigation was completed in 3 days. So some interesting insights from Jake
that's
One.
very. I remember
So-
like, in the beginning statement too. He's like because there was such a big delay with the thing, right? So it's like it's very different how that happened from the West investigation.
So moving forward, just because we have about 20 minutes left, we're going to go to our main story, which is marijuana.
Weed.
Hashtag 420 blaze it. Well, with the nationwide legalization of marijuana, just around the corner, provincial and municipal... oops, I miswrote that. But with marijuana legalization just around the corner, municipal and provincial governments from coast to coast have begun debating new laws and practices to put in place. On October 17th, the Trudeau government will officially make the use of weed, grass, the devil's lettuce, or however you call it, lawful. In regards to education, according to the Huffington Post, Health Canada says it has rolled out a number of public education campaigns and has invested some coin in the effort. They also say a social media campaign has been underway since last spring, and the public safety began running a campaign on drug-impaired driving last fall. On the premiere episode of Season 5, we talk what allowing the use of this drug means, how it will be distributed, and whether or not this was a good decision. At the end of our show, we'll also be revealing the results of our poll, so make sure to vote. It's on our Facebook page. Just vote if you're for or against marijuana. And before we get to the questions, I just want to make a note. Thank you for pointing that out, Daniel. The episode title is accidentally spelt The Ramen Report. So we're not talking about noodles. We're talking about politics. We might do an episode on the politics of noodles concerning...
Very, very heavily politicized issue.
Concerning trade with...
The nationalist idea of Mr. Noodles is very compelling.
So that will be edited post-episode.
Food for the proletariat.
But...
Broth for everyone.
So make sure you know whether that reels you into the show or not. Still tune in. Let's get to the questions. We have 20 minutes. So the first thing, real quick, are you for or against the legalization of marijuana? Daniel.
I guess I am probably the biggest marijuana advocate out of the four here. When you hit the booth, when you hit the gas, it's very critical that you really understand and you got to be responsible about what you're doing, though. That's the thing. I know it's very exhilarating to be just smoking weed just because it's fun, just because, like, yeah, I don't care, I can do whatever I want, but it's like, at the end of the day, like, the more research you into, like, if you actually look into the research, you're just supplementing one vice from another. Like, most people, like, I can take, like, I'm no different from, like, anyone else who's, like, just parties and drinks all the time. Like, if you really look at it, you need to, like, if you're gonna be smart enough to, like, do this kind of stuff, you need to do your research, because if you actually look into it, it was scary just seeing, like, if you smoke at this age too, like, the levels of psychosis that can happen to someone. It's at an elevated level as well. So like, and especially, like, there's
And
big
for the audience members who don't know what psychosis is.
so I forget. It's a very
essentially-
generalized term, though, right?
It's
But it
a
just
mental
causes-
illness that causes delusions.
That's-
It's,
Thank
it can apply to any number of mental illnesses,
Yeah, but
but
that's-
it's delusions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the reason why they use the general term psychosis is because they're not even sure, like what happens, like, when you smoke. Like, are you gonna get this particular type of psychosis in comparison to another? So it's like,
Yeah.
I would just recommend safety and stuff like that. I wish there was more research. I wish research was done before to see how impaired driving works and how it is in comparison to alcohol. But I don't know, like, because, like, that's the only problem right now. Like, people are gonna start stigmatizing marijuana to be just like alcohol when you're driving. I don't know, like how to compare 6 shots of alcohol and how it could be what would be the equivalent for marijuana. So, like, this is a new thing that we're gonna do. I just hope people are like, I just hope this legalization happens with the least amount of fatalities, the least amount of marijuana related deaths and accidents and stuff like that. But yeah, we're definitely going to see what happens and see if it's going to be on a positive note. I think we'll be okay in the end, though. Like, yeah, we'll be all right.
And Marshall?
I thought we were going to give one-word answers, but
That's what I thought,
sorry.
but it's okay.
My bad.
I'm against it. When I voted Liberal in 2015...
That was a
Surprise,
different time.
surprise. I was a lot more libertarian, and at the time I felt that Justin Trudeau was the most libertarian candidate out of the three main, the Liberals were the most libertarian party. But, these days I'm very much against it. I don't like the idea of the government legitimizing it and weaving it into our social fabric. And I would actually go as far as to say that I think in my ideal world we had stricter laws around marijuana.
And Adam?
I'll get into how I feel more about the actual legislation, but because
I have another question coming up after the
But
law.
as an ideological thing, I think it should be legalized, in the sense that, white people and racialized people smoke weed at about the same rates, but racialized people are about 8 to 12 more times likely to be incarcerated for marijuana possession.
Facts.
If you legalize it across the board, you end a lot of the mass incarceration of a lot of racialized people because of marijuana possessions, and I think that's my main reason for weed being legal. That's how I see it, doing a lot of good for society. You want to smoke a spliff down Yonge Street? I hate the smell of it. I think it's, you're out of it and terrible. Most people think I'm high, generally. I sit in a very laid-back position. I have very thin eyes. I have a very deep voice. I sort of a lot in my terms. So I'm thought to be a stoner a lot, especially when I was campaigning during elections. Everybody was like, "Are you trying to sell me weed?" And I'm like, "No, I'm trying to give you my campaign profile." So anyway, I am for the idea of legalization of marijuana, and I'll get into legislation-wise later on.
Personally, I don't know. I'm iffy on it because, like, I don't even think cigarettes should be legal. I'm just very. You can call me old school or not, but I haven't smoked a cigarette. I haven't smoked weed. I'm very, against it. Like, I just find
Straight
it.
edge. That's
I
what
just
it
find it gross. Like, Marshall and I don't know if you were there already, but we were talking yesterday about the clinic here, Toronto Public Health, and in bathrooms in Ryerson, they have the yellow
Needle disposal,
disposals,
yeah.
right? And I peeked inside, right, just to see, like, you know, whatever. And I saw needles in there. And honestly, I just felt disgusting. I felt gross. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not attacking people who have addictions. I just find it, like,
No,
so
they're on their
scary
own. They're
to
gross.
me.
Yeah.
I just find it scary that they're around.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Marshall about this, but both our biggest fear is just accidentally being poked with a used needle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I just
that's
have an
why-
irrational fear of needles. I can't even get my blood
Yeah.
taken, but
yeah, like I can you know, get my blood taken. I can get a flu shot, whatever. I still look away, but I can have that done. But it's just, I don't know. Just the whole concept
Yeah.
just freaks me out. I don't know. That's just
Okay,
my
so
view.
I'm just
but,
trying to relate that to marijuana, though. What was the comparison?
I was just saying that in my view, like I'm not for any drugs,
Okay,
right?
okay.
But that's why, like, I'm iffy on marijuana because on the one hand, like, first of all, I don't even think cigarettes should be legal, but on the other hand, like, the amount of money that the government can make off marijuana
There's a lot of
and
taxes.
invest it into, you know, schools and infrastructure and what have you. There are benefits there. I don't know if the government should be profiting
But
off
we've
the,
seen-
you know, the
Yeah.
So where I would compare marijuana versus currently legal drugs is you don't, you know, you can smoke a cigarette and not get high. You can smoke many cigarettes and not get high. You can't really get high off cigarettes. You know, you get maybe a head rush. But alcohol, you can have a beer after work just because you like beer. And you know, not get drunk. You can have a couple beers and not get drunk. There's no, you know, like casual little puff of pot. You know, you smoke pot to get high.
And-
you
and
don't
don't
you
get
don't
me
inject
wrong.
heroin after a hard day at work just because you like the feeling of it, right?
Don't get me wrong though, like for medical purposes I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too.
But like
But I would also dispute the medical legitimacy of it for a lot of the things it's used for. There really is not much to back it up there. And that's the other thing about it is we truly don't know very much about marijuana.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that.
We know very little. People always go, bro, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not
herb,
bad for
bro.
you. It's a plant.
Yeah,
It's a plant.
natural, dude. Yeah.
And you know, we don't know a lot about it. You know what else grows on trees is poison ivy. I guess not on trees. I guess that comes in more of a bush form. But and neither does marijuana. Just ignore my trees reference there. But you know,
You know what
poison
else
ivy.
grows?
You're not going to smoke poison ivy just because it's a plant.
You don't know who I am.
You know my story, bro.
It being illegal has made it very expensive to study for scientists and the like. It's not well studied, and we are every time we hear something new about it, every time we get a new little inkling of knowledge about marijuana. And it really does come in very little inklings. It's always bad. You never hear, oh, we found out that marijuana, you know, is great for you. It's always like, oh, you know, we found out that marijuana causes psychosis if you're smoking it before 19. Oh, wait, never mind. It's actually 21. Oh, wait, now it's 25. Oh, wait, now you're growing extra fingers from smoking marijuana.
Oh,
But,
so that's
no,
what happened last week?
Yeah.
Fuck. But it's like,
You know.
I don't know. It's just very interesting. Like we have like this idea of wanting to stop people from using drugs, or even we want people to like be responsible when they do that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like we don't really have any solutions for these problems. Like the war on drugs has like literally been a problem that was created by the United States, and it's just like. And then like
Prohibition didn't work
now
out really
everyone
well.
else has to like fucking deal with their own problems. Sorry about that, but it's like now like, everyone just hates all the problems that come with drugs instead of trying to like work at the solution as to why people are using drugs, right? And so it just like ruins people who actually want to use drugs even for any recreational use or something like that.
So-
Because at the end of those libertarian principles and stuff like that, if you want to drink your beer, go ahead. If you want to smoke your weed, go ahead. If you want to do what you want to do, go ahead. But I'm just on the main believer, as long as you weren't endangering someone else, it shouldn't be the problem, right?
So then, in terms of endangering other people, because again, I just can't stand the smell. It's not swell for me.
I can't
Maybe
stand the
it's swell
smell
for
of
you.
cologne sometimes. Like,
Well, I guess, but
Yeah.
you know,
But no, you're right, though,
But
on
my
that.
question though is, what are the laws going to be regarding its use? You know, I heard that they're going to be similar to tobacco laws.
Yeah.
Because of marijuana, you know, they've even talked about allowing drinking in parks.
Yeah.
But what are some specifics that are gonna
So
take place?
before these other two fine gentlemen or three fine gentlemen here want to get into it, I just want to talk about Ryerson's policy because I was very interested in how Ryerson's going to handle it. And I know I'm a candidate in the Ryerson election and I go to this school, but I'm going to go out and say that Ryerson did not do a good job in legislating this.
The marijuana? Oh, no one cares.
Yeah. No one
cares.
The thing is, Ryerson was like, we didn't really plan for anything yet. We'll have a plan in December for marijuana legalization and like smoking on campus. But until then, we're just going to ban smoking.
Smoking in general.
They're
I'm
going to
shocked.
ban smoking.
Like even cigarettes?
Like even cigarettes.
Simon Fraser's doing that, but Simon Fraser bans everything. I'm shocked.
yeah.
They don't. Even,
Ryerson cannot do that.
yeah, that's crazy.
I mean,
What
they
are-
can do
what are
it,
the
but
vapors
it
gonna
will
do?
have it will have
Yeah, but
no effect.
Isn't it a public place?
Yeah, nowhere
No.
on campus can you smoke.
But is the
Until
campus
December.
privately or publicly owned?
well, not all the campus is public. It's just Gold Street that's public.
And
so on Gold
only that
Street,
little
though, you'd be
stretch
able
of
to
Gold
smoke.
Street. Yeah. So, like, Ryerson has a lot of smokers. I was surprised in my first
Yeah.
year how many smokers. I thought, millennials had a different education about cigarette smoking. I know you
No,
do
no, no,
smoke
no, no. It's
sometimes,
just-
and I'm trying to call you out for that.
It just adapted from smoking to vaping as well.
Yeah,
But
a lot of people vape.
Yeah.
A lot of people vape. A lot of people smoke. A lot of people jewel. Like, I don't know, vaping and jeweling are two different things, but whatever.
Juul is just a brand.
Yeah.
Just one particular brand.
Yeah. So, like, for me, it won't work. It's like legislating that you can't wear Timberlands.
Which a lot of clubs
I
down.
agree
You know,
with
it's
that.
funny because you go to a lot of bars downtown and they don't allow Timberlands.
Yeah, but bars
Because-
can do that.
yeah.
They can.
But people still,
they can
every
look at you
time
at
I'm
the
in line
door.
for a bar, you still see a million people going up. Sorry, you can't wear Timbs.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, well, you know that. You should know that by now. They're
Yeah.
associated. Is it because they're associated with gangs and drugs?
I always thought it was because if you get stepped on by a Tim, it hurts a lot more.
well,
than
I wear
another
my
shoe.
Doc Martens to bars in the winter.
Then I don't know what
It's
it is.
it's always specific with Timberlands. I think it's the gang associations.
They're
It's just
not
like how you can't
shoes.
wear a bandana.
right.
Timberlands are gang association.
The brown ones, yeah.
The
that makes sense.
beige, right?
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
That just seems like a typical Thornhill resident, but okay.
Yeah,
that's
I
just
know
stupid.
exactly.
That's where the real
exactly.
gangsters are
And no,
at.
no. That's
know
not
what
what I
I
meant.
Yeah, because I have black Tims.
I meant
and I've
that's why
never
it's
had any
silly. That's why it's
problems.
silly because everybody wears Timberlands.
So
Yeah.
bad.
So for me to hear Ryerson that can look at me with a straight face and be like, "We're gonna ban smoking,"
Yeah.
You good, bud?
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's crazy.
yeah. So I'm interested to see how it's gonna affect Ryerson's
They're
campus
not going
because
to enforce it.
there are so many stoners on this campus.
They're not going to
yeah.
enforce it. There's no way.
I go to a lot of private bathrooms. There's always bud in the sink.
It's crazy.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
but-
why do these people do it? Can you not wait? Like,
Yeah.
come on. It's like, and that's the funny thing is when people are always like, weed's not addictive, bro. I just spend 2/3 of my paycheck on it and smoke it every day in order to function and can't go a day without smoking it and have to resort to smoking in a school bathroom. It's not addictive, bro.
No, man. I vape. It's
I
a
just
big difference.
smoke it all day,
You
every
get
day.
it, you
And if I
vape.
don't, I'm on the floor in the fetal position, going weed. But I want to read some comments quick. We got some good ones. Jake one says marijuana was legalized just to give the nanny state more control over another facet of your life, and not to give more freedom to the people. You're going to smoke, but it's going to be on our terms. Sam says, "Dude, weed." And then the war on drugs would have worked with better borders. Jake one says, borders are illegal. I'm assuming that's him trying to be funny, and I think it's funny. Gemma says, if people want to use drugs, they will use them. I don't think it's society's responsibility to necessarily stop that, if that's how people want to cope with their day-to-day problems. I would agree with the first part of that, but my moral philosophy, my government philosophy is that the government should be an arbiter of morals. Sam says, based, in response to Ryerson banning smoking, and then says, it's because they're ugly, in response to Timberlands being banned at bars.
So moving forward, because we got about a couple minutes left, so we're gonna have to go through these like clockwork. But in terms of that addiction per se, how will it be distributed? Privately, publicly, LCBO, Shoppers Drug Mart? Where are the drugs gonna be? Like how
in
how are you gonna
Ontario
be?
privately,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I'm actually happy about.
I'm against it. I'm very much against it.
Really?
I as soon as the corporations get their hand on it, it's going to be like tobacco in the 80s with suppressing studies that, say it's bad for you. And the lobbyists are going to be so powerful. It's going to be crazy, and I don't think that and that's why I'm pro LCBO. I'm not like I am a free the beer guy, but I also think the LCBO should handle alcohol, administration. But yeah, I mean, as soon as we give vices like this to the corporations, they're going to be lobbying the government to ensure that people get addicted and stay addicted and that kind of thing.
I didn't even think about that.
Adam?
I gotta think about this now that Marshall brings this up. But like for me, a lot of the dispensaries, under the Wynne government, the dispensaries were sort of up in the clouds of what they're gonna do after weed gets legal, because they're like either we shut down business or we operate legally. And I think that wasn't fair to a lot of the small businesses. It's a legitimate small business. But now that you talk about corporations and lobbyists, I'm very anti-corporation and lobbyist, and I don't know now. So I don't think it's going to be handled well, really. Canada has a long history of sort of accidentally legislating things.
Yeah.
And I mean that nicely.
Like homosexual. No, I'm joking.
No, not that. I mean, like assisted suicide was one of them, where they were like, "Oh shit, we did this. Oops."
Yeah.
And like another one was even abortion laws, which I'm very much for. It was like, let's remove the law for making abortion illegal, and then it's like, okay, now it's illegal, and that ended up working out well. But it's sort of accidental legislation, and I think that I don't think it'll go well for the first 5 years or so.
And the whole online thing, I don't know, I'm skeptical of that too, because how are they going to verify age online? And I mean, I know for example, when I voted in the...
well, maybe if you have like a valid credit card.
Yeah, I guess so, but some people have a credit card at 16,
yeah,
right?
some 16-year-olds.
When I voted in the PC party leadership election, they had to verify my age, but I also was able to vote twice. I didn't, but I was able to. So it's like...
Voter from...
Yeah, I mean, they gave me 2 voter things with 2 different IDs.
That's
not
bizarre.
Okay. And so yeah, it's like if the PC party, who is I mean, they weren't the ruling party at the time, but they're currently the government. If they can bungle that up, then who's to say that they can't do that with weed?
No, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
First 5 years, it's going to be a problem.
The main thing would be like to have some sort of incentive for small business owners, because like it's a shame, because those small business owners exist in Toronto right now, and they're trying to like create their businesses for selling marijuana, but there's going to be too much government regulation for them to be able to put their foot in the market. And at the end of the day, that's the problem that corporations are going to win. So it's like everyone's investing so many money into the weed stocks before legalization. It's
also interesting because talking about small businesses, Ryerson has started to offer a course on
the course code is Zen 420, which I find really funny.
Oh no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh my god,
it's a Chang School course, so it's Zen 420.
Oh my god.
Oh, I thought the audio went out. But it's based on the business of weed. So maybe there is a future for small businesses. But we are running out of time. I mean, we got about, I'd say, just a minute left. Very quick. Let's say this gets legalized. Do you think another drug is next? And if so, what drug? Adam?
I don't think so.
No?
The closest thing that'll get legal is hash, but hash is just concentrated weed.
Yeah, not in the
that's where it ends.
Not in the next couple decades, but I could see psilocybin mushrooms being legalized.
I could see like MDMA.
Can of worms. But
I would say MDMA would be legalized.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of research. So.
Well, we're wrapping up now. That was our show for this week. Let me get rid of that graphic. That was our show for this week. Thank you to everyone that tuned in and that messaged us live. A brand new episode of the Raben Report will be coming to you next week. Same day, same time, same people. Have a great day, everyone.